Hey, math students. Today we're going to be talking about markup, markdown, tax, and tip. It's really the same as what you've been learning with the percent proportions. So what I'd like you to do is please read example 1 and try to set up the equation in part A. You're not going to be solving it yet. What they mean by equation is just the tic-tac-toe box. So please get the tic-tac-toe box set up. Please pause the video now and play the video again after you've set up the tic-tac-toe box. All right, hopefully you have paused and unpaused, and now you are back to check if your tic-tac-toe box was correct. So I'm going to set up my tic-tac-toe box here. So I'm going to label this down the side part and whole, and then I'm going to be labeling it number and percent, or even maybe in this case it might be more appropriate to call it dollars and percent. If you have the labels in the opposite side of the tic-tac-toe box, that is fine, as long as the words, mean the same thing on the side and mean the same thing on the top. So here we know that the whole for the percent is always 100. It looks like the video game is sold at a price of $30, so that's the whole. And it's marked up 40%. So that means that the new price is going to be 100%. That is whatever the video game store paid to get it from whoever they bought it from, plus 40%. And that's what the store increases the price by before selling to the customers in order to make the profit. So altogether, they're going to be selling it for 140% of what it originally cost. It cost $30. We want to find what 140% of $30 is. So 140% is going to go up here. This means that the new number, the new price, is going to be bigger than 30. It's going to be 40% bigger than 30. So that leaves us with X there. As long as you have X diagonal from 100, you have it set up correctly, even if the numbers are in different spots. Part B is asking us to solve it. So now please solve the video and actually solve that proportion. Hopefully you have paused the video and now you're unpausing it and ready to come back with the proportion solved. So this is what the proportion that you're solving is. You draw your arrows in. You divide whatever the arrow is pointing to by the other number. 30 divided by 100 should be 0.3. 30, I'm doing it on my calculator as I'm doing the math here so that way I can make sure I'm good. So times 0.3, it looks like I wrote times 3. There, times 0.3. So that means on the top we have 140 times 0.3, and that gives us X equals $42. That would be our unit, $42. Part C, it says, what is the total markup? They want to know the difference in price between what the store is selling it for and the amount that the store paid for it. So please pause the video, find that difference, and then unpause. All right. Hopefully you're back from your pause and you did 42 minus 30 equals $12. So the total markup was $12. All right, that is question 1, A through C. Oh, looks like there's a part D hiding down there. So what I'd like you guys to do for this one is actually try this one on your own. It says that you can multiply the $30 wholesale price by 40%. Remember that if you're multiplying numbers that are percents, you're going to be changing it to a decimal. So you're going to be doing $30 times whatever 40% is as a decimal. And you're going to see that whether or not it equals the same thing that you got before. So please pause the video and try that. All right, so 40% as a decimal is 0.4. So 30 times 0.4 is going to be 12. Oops, I guess I correct $12. If I'm going to be writing 11 by accident, I'll turn it into a dollar sign. $12. So no, this is not correct. This finds the markup, that finds the increase, but it doesn't find the total price. If you wanted to find the total price, you would have to then add it to the 30. So 30 plus 12 is 42. So that brings up an interesting point that a way to find markup, I'm going to shrink all this so I could show you. A way to find markup without the tic-tac-toe box is to do the original price, which is 30, plus 40% of 30. So 30 times 0.4. So this is the original price, and this is the markup. And this represents what we were talking about earlier. This represents the 100% plus the 40%. That gives you 140% of the original cost. So that is how you would fix that error that your silly friend made. You are correct, your friend was wrong. That's what I'm predicting. Let's go to the next page now. So now it says that there is this $300 mountain bike discounted by 30%, and then discounted an additional 10% for the shoppers who arrive before 5 a.m. That is way too early. I think that's ridiculous. It should basically be free at that point. When it says find the sales price of the bicycle, you're going to be doing 2 tic-tac-toe boxes here. First, we need to find the discount after 30%, and then we need to find the discount after an additional 10%. So what I'd like you to do is divide your workspace into 2 different columns. First, we're going to find 30% off. Then when we have our new answer, we're going to find 10% off of that. Please set up your tic-tac-toe for 30% off. Pause the video, unpause it when you're ready to go. All right, hopefully you're unpaused and ready to go. So I'm going to label this part and whole and money and percent. Percent whole is always 100. The whole for the dollars is going to be the $300 that the mountain bike costs. Now, if it's discounted by 30%, that means you're paying 70%. So I'm going to solve it with the 70% there. That way, whatever my answer is going to be my final answer. If you solve it with a 30% there, it's still going to work, but then you have to subtract your answer from 300. And that leaves the X there. Please pause the video and solve that proportion. All right, back from the pause, you should have got an X equals 210. That's what you get when you solve that proportion. If you solved it with a 30 in this spot, then you would have gotten $90, and you would have done 300 minus 90 equals 210. Either way, you're ending up with 210. So that's after the 30%. Now we need to take 10% off of that. So please set up your tic-tac-toe box in the 10% off column. You're using the 210 now, not the 300. Pause and come back when your proportion is set up. All right, hopefully you are back. So we have part and whole and dollars and percent. The percent whole is always 100. The dollars whole is going to be that 210 that we just found. And since it's 10% off, we want to find 90% of it. That represents how much we're going to pay. You could do 10%, but then you're going to have to subtract from 210 at the end. And an X there. As long as you have X across from 100, diagonal from 100, then you're good to go, even if the numbers are in different spots. Please pause the video and solve. All right, hopefully you are back, and X should be equal to $189. So I'm going to write that as my final answer, that the mountain bike costs $189 on sale. For B, you're just finding, the difference between the original cost and the new cost. Go ahead and pause and find that. All right, 300 minus 189 gives us a difference of $111. For C, you're looking for a percent of change. They want to know, instead of taking a 30% off and then a 10% off, what would the percent be just as a single percent? This is your total percent off. So this is a percent of change problem. We know that the original price was $300, and we know the new price is $189. We even have already found the change, which is $111. We just subtracted that. Find the percent of change here. Pause the video and give it a shot. All right, so with our tic-tac-toe here, we have change and whole, and we have the dollars and the percent. the change is going to be 111. The whole is 300. The whole is the original price. For percent, it's always 100. For change percent, it's X. Go ahead and solve that if you haven't yet. Pause the video and come back. When you solve it, you get X equals 37%. So a 30% discount, then a 10% discount is apparently the same thing as a 37% discount. All right, D, please read the question, and I want you guys to try this one on your own. So pause the video, come back when you're ready to hear the answer. All right, hopefully you're back now. It's kind of a silly question because I feel like we've already answered that. You are going to save $111. We've already answered that that's the difference between the original and the new price. All right, we are on to the next page. All right, so in this page, you're actually going to need to use the picture to see the price. I'd like you guys to pause this one and come back when you're ready to go over your work for one. Do the work all the way through to the end. All right, hopefully you are back. So I have to read the question too. So we say that we are getting 25% off, but today it's an additional 5% off. So this is going to be a split problem just like before. We have our 25% off and we have our 5% off. So I'm going to set up my tic-tac-toe. So we have part, whole, dollars, and percent. And we know that percent for the whole is always 100. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this into the next box because I know I'm going to have to be using one just like it. So in this case, the whole is going to be the $44. You have to look at the picture to get that. The part we don't know, and the percent, 25% off means you're paying 75%. You could solve with 25, but then you have to subtract it from the original. As long as you have X diagonal from 100, you're in the correct spot. When you solve this equation, you get X equals 33. That 33 becomes the new whole for our 5% off. So we've already done a 25% discount. Now we want a 5% discount off that. The new percent is going to be 95 because that is what a 5% discount ends up paying. You could solve for 5%, but then you have to subtract it. And we have an X there. When you solve that, you get X equals 31.35. But the question is, how much will she save? So you have to subtract that from the original. So it originally cost $44 minus $31.35. So she is saving $12.65. And that would be your answer to question 1. For number 2, I'd like you guys to pause the video and please give it a shot. All right, hopefully you are back. So we know that the store is buying it for $250 and the store is now marking it up 200%. Is it possible to have a percent greater than 100? Yes. That just means that you're increasing it by more than itself. So it's going to be a huge increase in this case. It's being increased by whatever 200% of $250 is. And now what is the retail price of the clubs? So here we're going to do our tic-tac-toe box again. We have part, whole, dollars, and percents. In this case, the whole is, well, the whole is always 100, but in this case, the whole for the dollars is 250. And we want to know what 200% of it is, which leaves us X in that spot. When you solve that, you get X equals 750. So they've taken that original 250, that's 100% of it. And now they're adding 200% of it in. 200% of it is going to be 100% twice, which is 500. 500 equals 2 250s. Altogether, that is going to give us the 200% markup. So the cost, the 750, is actually equal to 300% of the original because you have the 100% original plus the 200% markup. So that's going to be our answer here, $750. Very expensive. The golf company is making a huge profit there.